Welcome everybody to another episode of Indie Inquiries, where each week we review indie game store pages and provide marketing advice and critiques for developers. We are always looking for submissions for future shows. If you'd like to submit one, please get in touch. But with that said, I am Josh Bycer from Game Wisdom, and my co-host is from Nexus Games, Sharky.
Hello, everybody. Soon to not be from Nexus Games, hopefully, with the renaming of the company. And sadly, we didn't have any submissions this week. So get to submitting your games.
Yep.
So we had to pick 2 games.
Yes, we did. And we are starting things off with the game Evertried. This is a game that I had a chance to play during my Wednesday night streams. I'll be interviewing the developer. Probably this will go up before that interview. But it's a very interesting game, and it's going to be a very interesting store page to review. So, as always, let's begin with the thumbnail. And the thumbnail, I think, is pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think the colors in it are amazing, just like in the game itself. Theming is on point. The text is readable. The little kind of leg up on the R makes it hard to read. But besides that, the stylized font is readable. The only issue I found besides that is that just the structure is not there. You know, like there's, like you follow the little scythe blade and it just forms a circle around it, pointing to itself. You follow the scythe handle and it points towards the
Scarflame,
like ghost cloud cape thing. You follow that and it just leads you to the scythe and the character. You look at the character, and the character leads you up and kind of around back to the ghost cloud, and nothing leads your eye to Evertried. More or less everything leading to that, and you really want everything pointing towards that. But I think that bit of structure is the only problem. But even with that said, is the contrast is so vivid between the white of the name and the dark of the background that, I mean, to a point, it kind of nullifies that structure issue, but only to a point.
Yeah. And, like, the font is readable, although, as we were talking about earlier, the R, the first R in Ever is kind of weird, like that kind of, like, upper curve to it. It's a very fancy font, like, it does stick out. Yeah. I mean, as we were saying, I think it's a very eye-catching thumbnail. Like, your eye just immediately will either get drawn to the left or to the top. It just has, like, that minor structural problem with the kind of it's leading your eye away from the thumbnail, not leading it towards the title.
And the sad thing is without basically completely starting over, I don't know any way to fix that structural issue.
Yeah. But I think it's still a very solid one. Not going to be, I think, my favorite thumbnail, but this is one that I think people, if you're scrolling down, you see this, it's going to catch your eye enough to go, what is that? So,
what do you think of her grade?
I'm thinking B plus maybe. What about you?
I'm thinking either B plus or A minus. I'm leaning towards A minus. I'm gonna go with A minus.
All right, I'll go with a B plus then, because I think it's like right on that cusp of being like fantastic as a thumbnail.
Yeah, all it's missing is a structure, which is not a thing they can fix without starting completely over.
Yeah,
sadly, at least not that I can see.
Yeah, because I mean, even if they move the title, it would be drowned out. It was placed anywhere else on this page or on the thumbnail.
Yep, and if they put the best place, quote unquote, place to put it would be in the ghost cloud cape thing. But there's not. They would lack contrast between there and the white of the name. I mean, they could always change the name to being black, but it still wouldn't have as much contrast as it does now.
Yeah. Now, if you look at like the trailer, like kind of like the still star of the trailer, where it shows Evertried in the upper left, that could have worked. Do you think that would be better than what they have here? Like move everything down and put Evertried in the upper left.
I think that'd be the same issue.
Yeah. All right, but still, I think B plus A minus. I think a really solid grade for it.
Yeah.
So, are you ready for the trailer?
Steam is.
Yep, that's the truth right there. Will it load? Let's see.
Steam started it in the middle.
So we have a Frozen opening.
Yep. And it's got a quote unquote code opening, but this is way too long and not it's a very bad code opening.
Mm-hmm.
It is an actual code opening, but it's a very bad one.
Yeah.
These transition screens are also too long.
Yeah, maybe like a second or two off of them, I think.
Yeah, they need to be like half as long.
Yeah, they're about like
they look good.
4 seconds long, maybe 2 seconds would be like the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they need to be like half the length they are now.
Mm-hmm. The footage they show, I think, is really nice. Like the game has really great art to it.
Yeah, it does.
And then we have,
and they're building up, but now they're losing all the momentum they built up with this.
With the story section.
The story section should have been close to the start.
Mm-hmm.
Before they started building up, and now they're trying to build back up again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of coming off half-hearted kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Laser beams, fights.
And now they're doing the climax, but it's not a super impactful climax, which is not a great climax.
Then we have a black
and then
screen.
It close up with that little animation kind of thing, which is like, hey, you know, here's some cool animation, but there's no like payoff to the cool animation.
The point at a minute, where is it? At minute 36, when you see like the mask reforming in the fire, I think that would have been a really good cold opening. Like start something like very mysterious like that.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I think what they have for the code opening right now would be a good code opening. Just they need to edit most of it out. Like if they started it at like 4 seconds,
like Ganik
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where he's, you know, just starting to catch on fire and everything.
Mm-hmm.
If they started off there and then they fast forwarded or edited part of this, you know, pan over him shorter, and then they got, you know, to him slicing.
Yeah.
Faster.
Yeah, like the cold opening is roughly, let's see, it is
13 seconds.
Yeah, they probably could have started maybe at like the 4 or 5 second mark. Right, let me see. They should have started at the 4 second mark with like his head like lighting on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Speed up like the enemies like appearing, and then go right into him, you know, jumping at them with the scythe.
Yeah, I mean this should have been not a 13 second, but rather probably like a no more than 5 seconds, but
yeah, like
probably
4 or 5.
Closer to 3 or 4 seconds long.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I like the text transitions. I like kind of like the green embers in the background.
Yeah, they're just way too long.
Yeah. The overall trailer itself is too long. For those of you who are new watching, the average good trailer length should be no more than 90 seconds.
90 seconds is the longest possible. You don't want it to be 90 seconds. 90 seconds is the limit.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you know, it's like the speed limit.
Mm-hmm.
Except for, you know, in a town where cops will pull you over for anything. Mm-hmm. They'll pull you over for sneezing wrong, kind of thing.
So
and you don't want to go over 90 miles an hour or 90 seconds kind of thing, because you go to 91 and they'll pull you over kind of thing. So you don't want to go over 90.
All right, the music I think does fit. I like it, kind of builds up, but like we've said earlier, that the order in which they're showing off these various sections is off. It probably should
only
have.
one section is off, and that's the all the text
Mhm.
at like
But
56 seconds.
that one section just like kills the momentum for the rest of the trailer.
Oh yeah, it absolutely murders the momentum.
Yeah, so like if we go to there we go. So it was at 54 seconds in. Like that should have been either the second section or no more than the third section. And then that's still in your build up kind of like intro phase. And then we
No,
get
intro pre-build.
yeah. And then we just get all combat, all build up and just go from there.
Yeah.
And like we said, like there's like 5 seconds of just blackness at the end. Like that's you don't want that in your trailer. It's kind of like very unprofessional.
Yeah. You're talking about after the enemy animation, the boss animation, and before the reconstruction animation.
That and just ending with 5 seconds of nothing. So at the minute 55, no, minute 54, there's just nothing.
And then you have that they have like 15 call to actions that are all inferior.
Yep.
Because you have this first one at like a minute 43, and then you have a second one at like a minute 47, and then you have a third at a minute 50, and then you have a fourth at a minute 52, and then you have.
You could just have done
What?
like one, like ideally you want one call to action.
Yeah, if you put more than one call to action, the first call to action is all that counts.
Yeah, and the fact that it's just a black screen when you have all this impressive art, you have all this animation, it does kind of like slip it up at the end.
Yeah. It's not just a bad call to action. It's like 5 or 6 bad calls to action.
Yeah.
All this information should be on one screen.
And that screen should look impressive.
The screen should look good. And the text and everything should stand out from it. And it should really sell your game.
Yeah, and this again, like there's good parts of this, but there's the structure is kind of flawed. So grade wise, this is I think a tough one because again, we can't when we grade the trailer, we're grading both on what's being shown as well as the overall structure of it.
And I mean, they really screwed up the cold opening.
They screwed up the call to action.
And then they put one scene in the wrong place, which is just a misordering things. Something really easy to fix, but like it kills the momentum so hard. It's one of those little mistakes that cost a lot. It's like it's like that time you stub your toe, and you're like, oh, stubbing your toe isn't bad. Until you realize that you stubbed your toe right as you were going down the stairs, and then you rolled down the stairs all the way down and hit your head and go into a coma or die at the bottom. Kind of mistakes,
It's catching the perfect pass in a football game and then tripping as soon as you caught it.
Or taking that perfect pass into the enemy's field goal.
So, grade-wise, like I feel that it's in the C range.
Yeah, like just so many just a couple little things. Just moving that one scene, the text scene, to the beginning of the trailer. Before you start building up momentum. Trimming out and editing, that intro, which is just removing stuff essentially and making it faster, and condensing all the feedback, the
call to action stuff at the end
into one thing.
and
is all basically just removing stuff or condensing stuff.
and would improve things dramatically.
Yeah,
And
do all those things, and basically just remove things, and your trailer would be go from like a C plus to an A,
yeah.
kind of thing, and then you really need something that's not a black background behind the call to action, and
just like maybe like
that's the
those
only
embers.
place where you really need to add something to make. And if you did all of those things, it would be an A plus.
Yeah, and that's the thing when we look at the trailer for people who are watching the show for the first time, that oftentimes it's either very big systemic issues that drag the grade down, or it's very little things that just kind of chip away at the grade. That if you can improve those, it can dramatically raise things up.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen trailers that we've given B pluses that to get an A minus, it would take tons and tons of work to do.
Or
This
some that
can
we
go from a C plus to A plus with just minimum stuff, because it's just it's not just it's not, I wouldn't say it's little stuff that chip away at it. It's little stuff that is misplaced. In a different way,
The pieces are there; they're just not all fitting together.
Exactly,
Yeah.
I think you have a good, basically complete puzzle here. Just you have pieces mixed up, and somebody's face is upside down, and drastically downgrades the grade kind of thing, where somebody else would have a very incomplete puzzle, but the parts that were together fit together properly.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think C plus I think is good. Like I said, I feel like there's just too many things that would bring this into the B range, but I feel there's too many things right that would to drop it down lower than that.
I think you misphrased that, but but yeah, I think that very minor changes can turn that trailer completely around.
Yeah.
Just completely. It would be a vastly different trailer.
Yeah.
A vastly better one. And
so
because basically all the bones are there. It just needs
someone to put the skeleton together.
Yeah. It needs, the feet not attached to the shoulders.
The elbow's connected to the elbow bone, or whatever the song goes.
Yeah. It's like in science, like science class when somebody went in there and it's like, what if we put the hands down at the bottom and the feet on the top? That's kind of what this trailer is.
Use me a Dead Space enemy. All right, screenshots. So with a game like this, because of how striking the art is and how it looks, it can be a little hard to tell if some of these are repeats or not.
Well, it's not just the striking; it's how the scenes are
all the same structure, like one, one floor, that kind of thing.
Yeah, all the maps are technically flat.
Yeah.
So it's definitely hard to tell. But I think all these screenshots are pretty solid.
Yep, and we have more than the bare minimum that you want to have is 5, and this has.
That's not the bare minimum you want to have. That's the bare minimum Steam allows.
Yeah. And this has 15. You can't put your
game public without having 5.
Yeah. Like we see the boss. Now the boss was shown a little bit. No, I think this was taken from the trailer, with the boss kind of like dashing down or whatever.
Was it? But I think this is where the shortcomings of the screenshots really show their place, because number one, there's only one boss in here.
There's no standout here, I think.
Yeah, I really liked that very first map that you played. That first map you played was really, really beautiful, and I think the priest of all the maps that I've seen, and there's not a screenshot of it in here.
You sure? Because the seventh one is of the first biome.
Yeah, but it doesn't have all the different tiles
Oh,
in
okay.
there. There was like 2 or 3 other tiles. This just has the 2 tiles.
That's just I think we got a beauty RNG when we played it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, the screenshots here I think are good. Like, you're showing a lot of variety in terms of like the overall presentation of the game. You have content, you have, your menuing slash loadout, you have a shop, I think. No, you don't have
But
the
I think
shop.
the real shortcoming of the screenshots is the bosses.
Hmm.
There's only one boss in here. It's one that was in the trailer, and if it's not directly out of the trailer, it certainly
Close.
looks like it.
Yeah, and like,
And the actual screenshot is showing the boss kind of squatted and small,
hmm
and you want your boss to be big and menacing on the screenshot, and you also want to show different bosses, not
yeah.
just the ones you've already shown in the trailer.
hmm
So I think you need a different boss, one that's more, quote unquote, big and menacing looking,
hmm
you know,
You
and
need, I think, at least one screenshot that just really pops. Like, there's a few gifs that when we look at it within the next section that show, like, lasers raining down from the sky or some crazy effect. And I think a
mhm,
screenshot of that would tie this package together.
yeah, on top of the boss.
Yeah. So overall, mm, maybe B plus, like somewhere in the B range.
Yeah, I think I'd give it a BB plus.
Yeah.
Maybe I think I'd go B.
hmm
I think I'd go B.
Okay. All right. So let's get down to the about this game section. So we have blue text for each section. Now
First
this,
section is a bit long.
yeah, you want at
You don't want more than a
most,
paragraph.
yeah, like 3 to 4 lines of text is like the max that you want.
Yeah. Well, a paragraph's the max you want, but
Yeah.
you want to ideally be less than that. You
Yeah.
want, and this GIF is also way too long. This is like 3 GIFs in one kind of
Yeah.
thing. And the thing is there's 2 major reasons why you want shorter GIFs. Is
hmm
number one, people with good internet are reading, they see the GIF, and then they keep on scrolling down, and they're not waiting for the second part or the third part of the GIF. They're just keep on
hmm
scrolling, so they're going to miss all parts except for that one part. Number two, people with slow internet are going to wait so long for that to load that they think that it's just a still image, and
Yeah.
they just go past it, and you ain't got a GIF at that point. You just
hmm
got a still image.
Yeah. And another thing is that there's way too much text in between each GIF.
Mm,
So, like, we go below that first GIF, you can see we have 2 paragraphs now of text breaking up the next GIF, where you really
mm,
want to have GIF, paragraph, paragraph.
or less than a
Mm-hmm.
paragraph.
Yeah.
Paragraph is the max.
Yep.
And the next GIF is also too long. It's what, like 2 GIFs combined,
Mm-hmm.
and you really want to limit it to only being one GIF. Don't combine them.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of text at the
Mm-hmm.
very bottom.
Mm-hmm. Like, if you look at where is it? The third GIF, there's a part where you see like laser beams being shot out, like, and even like lasers raining down from the sky. One of those two would have been a really good image for the screenshot selection, or even just
Mm,
having one of those scenes in the trailer as a moment to pop on.
yeah, one of those in your climax section of your
Mm-hmm.
trailer.
Yeah, but like Shark just said, the story section is way too much text while having more things to break it up.
Yeah, and the GIFs need to match what's happening in the text,
Mm-hmm.
or at least come as close to it as possible.
Yep. So again, like, the stuff they show, I think is good, but the structure is off.
Yeah. I
So,
mean, this would be easy fixes. They just
mhm,
break these GIFs into three GIFs or whatever, however many they combine GIFs, they uncombine them
mhm,
and then they spread them out and they make sure that they match what they're actually talking about in the text. And
mhm,
then they break the text up more to where there's, you know, no more than a paragraph.
yep,
Especially, this very long run on paragraph here in story in the first
yeah,
paragraph. I was
mhm.
like, yeah, we wrote like two or three paragraphs, but we didn't
It's
want
a
to have two or
short
three paragraphs.
story
We just
story
wanted one.
section.
So we just,
Yeah.
squashed it together.
You'll want a
English be
short
damned.
story on your store page.
Yeah. But
So,
there's nothing wrong with putting that much story in there. But it needs to be broken up,
mhm,
spaced out, and properly paragraphed.
yeah. You think the gifts are too big? Yeah, I could see that a little bit. And you'll see examples of, I think, doing it right when we get to our second game this week.
Yeah.
So,
These gifts are just normal
normal
gifts. There's
size.
nothing custom to them.
Yeah.
These are just screen records, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and done,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Although they're multiple that are put together, which shouldn't be put together.
Yeah.
They
So,
could have gone the extra mile and put,
mhm.
um, you know, customized them to where they're
and
crop them to be thinner or
and
something.
with all the art that's in this game, it would have been nice to have custom banners
Oh yeah,
or
yes.
beyond
Like
just blue text, because the blue text is the bare minimum.
the blue text is the bare minimum, and this definitely meets that.
Mhm.
But with all the beautiful art in this game, it just cries out for custom banners.
Yeah.
It is literally a crying shame that there isn't any because
Hmm.
this could be amazing.
Yeah. So,
If they put custom banners in here, if they broke these GIFs up, if they customize the GIFs a little bit, to be like thin or something like that, and they broke up the text more and they
mhm.
fixed the run on paragraphs and whatnot,
It
and
would
they
be an easy
fixed.
A, even an A
I mean, if they
plus.
did all that stuff, it might even be an S.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with everything with custom banners, could probably put this in the S range.
Mm-hmm.
So where it's at
But
right
as it is
now,
now, what would we grade it as?
mm, again, it has structure, but it's not amazing structure.
It's got incorrect structure.
Yeah. Again,
It's semi-correct,
like with the
but
trailer, the pieces are here, they're just not being utilized properly.
yeah, it's pretty much the exact same story as the trailer.
Yeah.
Is you know things are just not structured properly,
Yeah. I'm
but the
thinking,
content is here for the most
yeah.
part.
I want to say high C, low B, maybe a little less than that. What do you think?
I think I'd go with a high C, a
Hmm.
C plus,
Yeah.
or a drink cartridge. But like I feel really bad about giving it such a grade like that. Same thing with the trailer
Hmm.
because like there's so much good here.
Hmm.
Both in that and this, it's just structured wrong,
Yep.
and that structure is really killing it.
Yep. And it wouldn't, like, this is one of those pages where not a lot needs to be done to bump these things up.
A world of difference in
Yeah.
bumping up too.
Yeah.
Not just not like you could do a little change and raise your grade by like 2 points kind of thing. It's like you could do a little bit of stuff and raise your grade up from average to perfect or
Amazing.
beyond
Yeah.
perfect, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel C plus B minus. Again, like, I think it does more than enough to get above C, but it's just really, I think, on that bubble of being a low B. At least where it is right now.
Mm. I haven't seen the Kickstarter page. I know that you had a Kickstarter. I just haven't looked at the Kickstarter
Yeah.
page.
Yeah, I haven't looked at that one either, but I did. We'll see when I went on the website. So let's get to the title card because unfortunately, this is where we have some issues.
Yeah, this is where
This is where,
it's not just structure issues. There's issues here.
yeah. So the first problem, the genre tags. You want to have at minimum 3 tags, and
Bare minimum.
the 3 that you can, like the bare minimum ones, are like the basics. So single player, indie game, action, or roguelike. Like
I don't know if roguelike's one of the ones, but it might be.
RPG may be like, stretching it a little bit much, but considering with Steam, with genre tags and all that, I think it would fit here.
Yeah.
Like, strategy is good, but again, the point about the genre tags is that this is how the algorithm promotes your game. So if you don't have a lot of tags, you're not really fully making use of Steam.
Yeah. And you would be, since Steam has very few genre tags, I mean, the indie tag and the single player tag actually get used more than they should, because in theory, in a correct system, aka non-Steam, those tags would mean absolutely nothing. But
Pony,
in Steam, it does matter.
Pony, you forgot Battle Royale in there too.
Yeah.
Now, the other problem, so we have a link to the website. The website does work. There's contact information there. But you still want to have developer information on here. Like, this is definitely a title card that was made for the publisher rather than for the game and the developer itself.
Yeah. Which, I would say that you had a publisher, the fact that they either let you have this Steam page this way, or the fact that they made the Steam page this way, which I'm leaning towards that they made it, seeing how they marketed the crap out of themselves and not out of you, does not say much for that publisher.
Yeah, like the problem is that, again, the title card serves 2 purposes. It's a way for Steam to promote your game, and it's a way for people to find you and get in touch with you.
Content creators and whatnot,
influencers, and all those other fancy terms.
Yeah, and here's another thing about that is, like, marketing wise, your store page is the most important thing there is. And again, kind of throwing the publisher under the bus here, they, a publisher that is doing anything with marketing should not have let this go out the door.
I mean, the game is not out yet. It's not going to be out until the fall, so there is still plenty of time. But, again, when you're putting this out... 1 second, I'm hearing someone's running the water. Here. There we go. It's been distracting me. Look at yeah. So, with this, you want to be able to... Like, there's still plenty of time to fix it, but once your page goes up and people are able to search for it, basically the clock is running.
Yeah. And also, as when you're doing proper marketing, you don't want to just put your page up. When you put your page up, it needs to be, A+ to begin with on day one. And when you put it up on day one, you don't want to just put it up. You want to contact everybody in the press and everything.
Make a Twitter announcement.
Put it up and let them know when it's going up, so that on the day that it comes up, you can make a big event of it and everything, and that's the proper way to market, kind of thing.
Yeah, you don't want, like we've said before, you don't want to wait until the night before your game is out to start mentioning to people that you have a game.
Yeah. And you also want to make an event out of, your game, quote unquote, all of a sudden coming into existence with a store page.
Yeah. And I know that Lunic has a Twitter, because I searched for it on Twitter, I found them. You want that on here, if possible. And again, the Discord service, that's to Dongan, not to Lunic.
Yeah, everything here except for the website goes to the publisher. Nothing's going to the developer, which is really what makes me feel like the publisher made this page and made it improperly.
Yeah. I mean, I've played, like, the thing is, I've played several games that have been published by Dongan, and they're all games I really like, but they've also have not had, like, really solid reviews.
We've looked at when you say solid review, you mean solid review number,
Yeah.
not grade.
Mm-hmm.
AK, they're not being properly marketed, meaning that the publisher is getting good games, but not doing proper marketing.
Yeah.
And at which point, what's the point of having a publisher? You know,
Mm-hmm. We could publish.
I mean, we could literally make better publishers in that route of, we'll publish your game, we'll take 30% and make your Steam page, and that, I don't know if they did anything else for you besides making a Steam page, but
Yeah. And
I mean, we could do a better job when it comes to just the Steam page.
yeah. So
we wouldn't have money to fund you or anything.
So
but
the title card, unfortunately, like, if we were grading this for Dongan Entertainment, it would be, I think, a decent title card.
Yeah, I think this would be, maybe what, a C?
Yeah, but if we're grading this on how this is being marketed towards Evertried, it kind of fails in that regard. And because of that, like, I'm leaning towards, like, an F+.
I was leaning towards F+, but seeing how, like, I mean, this title card really kind of feels like the publisher is promoting themselves hard and just really taking shit on the developer.
Mm.
So I'm going to dock it points from an F+ down to an F-.
Mm-mm. All right. So overall, we have we have some fair high grades
of the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Because the trailer is the most important thing here, and we gave that a what?
I think a C+.
Yeah.
We gave the thumbnail, I think, a B+.
Yeah, which would bring it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We gave the thumbnail what?
I think a B.
I think we gave it a B+, A-.
Okay, so that would bring it up some more.
Yeah.
So
about this game page, what did we give that? Didn't we give that a?
I think C+.
So that's going to hold it in place.
Mm-hmm. The title card, I gave it an F+, you gave it an F-.
Yeah, which is going to lower it.
But the title card is the least
about
important.
This game holding it. We have the title card lowering it by quite a bit. We have the screenshots and the thumbnail raising it slightly.
Yeah.
So
but the
overall,
title card,
I think it's an overall raise over the trailer. But I don't know if it is enough of a raise to actually raise it above what the trailer is of a C+. It's either, if it is, it would be a B-. Like,
yeah.
It's very on that line between C+ and B- kind of thing.
Yeah, like we've said, like, the overall thing about this is that all the pieces are here. It's just not being utilized, to their best ability.
Yeah. And the great thing is now you have the feedback and everything to just make these, most of it's just easy edits kind of thing.
True.
That could vastly turn this page around, because, like, again, the most important thing on this page is the trailer. The trailer is your number one marketing tool.
And then the
thumbnail is number 2.
Mm-hmm. I'll be a little bit generous, I think. I'll give it a B-, but I think that's it. Like, that would be like me on a happy day would be a B-.
Yeah. And since you went on that way, I'll go with the C+, so we can have an average.
Yeah.
Since we were both right on the line, so you go over the line on one side, I'll go over the line on the other side, and we'll come out to the right place.
Yeah. And again, like, I played it and I enjoyed the game, but like we've said, No, I'm always masochistic. But uh,
True.
as we said, the quality of the game does not. It helps when we go like the marketing of these store pages, but it doesn't, directly affect the grade. Like because I like a game or I dislike a game doesn't affect what I give the grade of the store page.
Yeah, he played it, last night?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looked like a pretty fun game. I'm a little bit worried about the variance in it,
Mm-hmm.
but the demo looked really solid outside of maybe a variance issue,
Mm-hmm.
for long-term play. But the
Mm-hmm.
sad thing is that gameplay does not sell a game. What sells a game is a trailer and
Marketing,
thumbnails, and what gameplay does is it keeps people from
refunding.
refunding after they buy it.
Yep.
That's what gameplay does, and that's sad because there's so many great games
Mm-hmm.
that lacked on their marketing because they didn't have great trailers, they didn't have great thumbnails and all
They
this
didn't
other
come
stuff,
out of the gates with everything perfect.
and they had amazing gameplay, and they were really great games,
Mm-hmm.
and they failed horribly
Yeah.
commercially.
And like McGonick said, it's easier to sell a bad game with great marketing than sell a good game with bad marketing.
Yeah, I
And
mean there's
unfortunately, that's the truth.
yep, there's many games that do really good marketing and really really horrible games. I mean, there's plenty of examples on the phone. I think somebody mentioned Raid Shadow Legends at some point, and yeah, that's a
Do they have to pay us now for
good
mentioning the
or
game?
bad sample example, whatever it would be.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
horrible game. It's casino. It's a legal casino. The game,
Mm-hmm.
but they
But
have so much good manipulative, good quote unquote marketing that's very very manipulative,
mm-hmm.
and they make lots of money from it because they know they have put so much into marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not even a game, but like this seems like a really solid game, and we've
Yeah.
seen really solid games before that had really crappy marketing, and
Yeah.
they failed horribly.
Yeah.
We've
And
seen we've seen games that have that are basically just cheap versions of really good
mm-hmm.
games. You know,
There's
what's that one developer that made
a Tiny Bear or
yeah, Tiny Bear, I think.
mm-hmm. Like
Is it Tiny Bear?
who made like Punch Club? You mean
Yeah,
Lazy Bear?
Lazy Bear, yeah.
I was half right.
Lazy Bear knows how to market. They know how to they got aesthetics in their game, which is definitely that's number 0 in your marketing list. Number 0 is your aesthetics in your game, which you definitely have on point here with Evertried
Mm-hmm.
because that art is amazing. Number 1 though is your trailer, which is not on point. Number 2 is your thumbnail.
Yeah. So that's why everyone keeps talking about that Muck game. Because I keep seeing people like keep mentioning it.
Apparently, it's a really good game according to chat with really bad marketing. And the sad thing is if we look at Dongan Entertainment's history of games, we see really great games in there that had really bad marketing
Yeah, and
and failed commercially.
what I find very interesting is just how many like really solid concepts we're seeing out of the Brazilian game dev scene. If you remember, there was that there's a like kind of like action pong game that we tried like last year that I really liked.
Is Dongan a Brazilian?
No, they're I think Japanese.
Ah,
It's a bad game with amazing marketing. Yeah.
yeah. And ideally, you want amazing marketing with amazing game, but we rarely see that.
True.
I mean, we often we
Skyrocket.
see tons of
Yes.
great games with bad marketing. We see tons of bad games with great marketing, but rarely do we see good games with good marketing. We also see bad games with bad marketing quite a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It's
really
rarely
like.
to see both good.
Yeah, I really like Skyrocket, but yeah, it's sitting at 85 reviews and being 2 years old.
Yeah, that game made like 2 cents essentially.
Mm-hmm.
You know that it would surprise me if that studio is not dead.
Hope
And
not. All right. So, are you ready to move on to the next game?
yep,